What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, Jiří Procházka came out with a video on social media and said that he wants to fight Glover Teixeira in his first title defense. This would obviously be a rematch against the guy he took the belt from, and he cited two reasons. One, he said Glover put up a hell of a fight. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Glover was 30 seconds away from winning that fight. And the second reason being he was not satisfied with his own performance. And we know that Jiří is someone who is hypercritical of himself. He wants to have flawless victories. So he wants to redo it to really emphasize that he's the champion and good enough to actually take the belt off of Glover. However, there is a third person in this equation, Jan Bachowicz, who is not happy, saying that Jiří is breaking, quote, Samauri Code, because he was promised the fight by Jiří immediately after the Glover match happened, and now he's basically saying Jiří is going back on this promise. So there's a lot to unpack there, but what do you make of it?
I like the fight. I like the fact that they're thinking about the rematch, and Jiří is that martial arts embodied, right?
Yeah.
He wants to do everything the way a martial artist would do it, and I get that he did the Samauri Code thing with Jan Bachowicz, but Jan was in the crowd, I believe.
He was, immediately, yeah.
If you can watch that fight and not think that Glover at 43 years old deserves an immediate rematch because his days are numbered in the UFC, I think you need some new glasses because you didn't watch the right fight. Glover was about to win that fight and absolutely got the better of most of the rounds. So for Jiří to think that his job was a little bit unfinished, even though he did actually get the finish, I can see where he wants to kind of go right that wrong, so to speak. Jan Bachowicz isn't going anywhere. I personally see the UFC letting him hold out until after these two fight again to get a title shot. He's not going to have to do any more fighting in the meanwhile, in my opinion. If you're asking me, I'm going to go Glover Jiří part 2. I'd love to see it. I do think Jiří actually could probably win this one a little bit more definitively.
Well, history says that if two people rematch and the younger person won the first fight, that in the second fight, they're going to win again, but this time easier and quicker. So if history's any indicator, Jiří Procházka would get the finish faster than he got it, which was with 30 seconds left in the fight against Glover. Now, there is the whole notion of the way that Jan defeated Rakic. You know, I think Jan was on his way to either getting a finish or winning a sound decision victory. However, there was the injury to Rakic in that fight, which ultimately ended the fight. So there was kind of a murky ending there, if you will. And then on top of that, there's also Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Lionheart-Smith that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So that is another big fight. And both of those guys, Lionheart has come out and said, you know, he's got a spot on the microphone now, so he's able to kind of project his wishes a little bit louder than he was in the past. And he said the winner of our fight should be the one fighting Jiří next. So there's actually that element of it too. But I do think that Glover deserves the rematch. At 43 years old, this was a guy at one point in time was the boogeyman that was not in the UFC. You know, they used to talk about this guy Glover, and he came in and he tore everybody's ass up until he ran up against John Jones. He did some soul searching, had a career resurgence, and then boom, he goes on another amazing run in his 40s and fights for a belt, wins it by submission no less over Jan, who's claiming he wants the title shot. I think that matters too. And then, you know, I think all those things considered, and given the fact that Glover is by far in the final stretch of his career, he does deserve to get one more crack at this title.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, Jiří's a young guy, so he's not going anywhere. Ankalaev and Anthony Lionheart even, they still have many more days in the 205 division. Glover doesn't really have that luxury, and that's why I think everybody should just co-sign with that. Let's give these guys one more go. In my opinion, that's the fight of the year so far, and I'd love to see them run it back because I don't think it would just be an easy victory for Jiří, and I don't think Glover would just go out there and knock him out. I think we're going to get another amazing fight out of these two guys, and if Jiří does get his hand raised again, then Glover will likely ride off into the sunset. I don't see him going in and just hanging out in top 5 contendership anymore.
No.
I think he wants to do this, maybe try to get the win back, and then move on with his career. Either way, Glover Teixeira has done enough for this sport to earn another fight, especially after that last performance that he had, because in my opinion, it's fight of the year, and it's going to take a serious throwdown for somebody to dethrone that fight.
I hope something dethrones that, because that will mean it will have been an amazing fight.
That's for sure.
But the thing about Glover is that is another element of it too. He is at the back end of his career. So what if he goes in there and he beats Jiří? I think he's going to retire either way.
Yeah.
I think if he fights Jiří again, that will be the last time we see Glover in the octagon, win, lose, or draw, because he just has nothing left to prove. If he loses, as you said, he's not going to go be a top 5 contender at light heavyweight. And if he wins, now he's the 2-time world champion. What's he going to do? Fight Jan Bachowicz again? He submitted him last time he fought him. Fight Jiří again for the third time? Hang out until one of these young guys kicks his ass? I don't think so. I think he's going to take the belt and ride off into the sunset, or as Chael Sonnen says, end up face down and embarrassed and ride off into the sunset. Either way, he's riding off into the sunset. And then I think that you're right about Jan holding out. I did want to touch on that before we wrap the video, because this whole notion of, even if Glover does win, I think he's retiring. And so then you just put Jiří and Jan in there for the title, or if Ankalaev does something amazing, you move him in there. But I think this whole Poland versus Czech Republic rivalry that we were actually educated on by you guys, the fans, last time we dropped a Jan versus Jiří potential matchup video, it stems all the way back to 1919. I believe it was called the War of 7 Days. It was a battle that took place between Poland and the Czech Republic, and now because of that, there's a friendly rivalry. Any of you guys that live in that region, I'm sure you can correct my history here, but that is essentially the gist of it. So according to these people, this would be the biggest fight that European MMA could see right now, and I totally agree with that. I think, just as Alexander Gustafsson did for Sweden and some of the Nordic countries and putting them on the map, and Michael Bisping did for the UK, a showdown between Czech versus Poland, former champion versus current champion, would be mega for that part of the world.
Yeah, and if it happened over there, that'd be even cooler. I don't know really what they could do or what arena they could have it in, but something like that would be really cool. And you said Gustafsson's name. I feel like he should move back down to 205 if he hasn't already, and then try his luck for the belt. I feel like he was the best fighter the UFC's ever had that never got a title. And I think that if Glover gets out of the way, I know he pieced Glover up back in the day, but he could actually compete with those guys, and I think he'd do really well. So I think there's a nice European round robin that could take place over there if they do have these guys all get together and start fighting each other.
Definitely. Well, guys, drop us a comment and let us know, should Jiří Procházka fight Glover Teixeira in a rematch, or should he move on to Jan Bachowicz, or should he wait for the winner of Smith versus Ankalaev? Guys, if you're new here, we talk all things combat sports, so if you're not subscribed, we do appreciate that, and smash that like button on this video. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.